Hi guys, this is Dennis Tafe. I'm here in my home studio, and I'd like to pass along a tip that's been really helpful for me, and might help some of you out too. I don't know if you've ever run across this situation, but have you ever found like maybe an old pedal that you didn't even know you had anymore? It was buried amongst other pedals. Over the years I've been playing, I've accumulated a bunch of electronics, a bunch of pedals, rack mount units, and so on. And it's great. In fact, here's one that I just ran across the other day. It's a 90 Digitech. No, it's an RP70. Alright, so here you go. Great, RP70. Now here is the problem. Great, I found the pedal. I'd like to try it out, but guess what? Well, hell, where's the power supply? And this is the problem. In fact, let me show you the real problem. Here you go. And this is just a sample. These are just 3 power supplies, wall warts if you like. I recently replaced all these wall warts with a Voodoo Labs pedal power digital unit that takes care of all of that, which is great because it powers them. However, these will soon end up probably at the back of my closet somewhere, you know, and I've got boxes of these. Is the problem. Now, what is the solution to this? And I'll show you. In fact, I should follow my own advice, quite frankly. And if you look here, well, this one, don't know what it goes to. This one, I don't know what it goes to. It looks like a phone power supply. And there's a real simple solution, and I know it's quite common sense, but believe me, when you're in the process of trying out different electronics and things, and over the years things just seem to pile up, and you end up with a big box or a closet. I've got a closet here full of antiquated pedals, power supplies, you name it, cables even. And most go to something, but what? I don't know. So let me show you just the simplest solution. It's this. I recently went to the dollar store, and here you go. There's the solution right here. Pretty amazing, isn't it? I thought so. They're just freaking address labels. Okay, and here's the deal. When you get a wall wart, even if you think, oh, well, I'll never use this because I'm using my pedal board power supply, for example, it doesn't matter. Take a label and write down what it is. And see, I've done that on here, so I know what this goes to. And in fact, I can read it, and here it is. It says Boomerang 3. Okay, well, that gives me a pretty darn good idea. That way you don't have to mess around trying to decide, well, what did this go to, what is the voltage, right, and is the center positive or negative? And I'll tell you, it's a real pain to have to reorder replacement power supplies, even though you have tons of power supplies, because you couldn't remember to label it. So believe me, it's worthwhile. I mean, this is like, gosh, probably 6 months old already, if not longer than that. And I'm glad I still have it. I have a G7 DOD rack mount unit from, gosh, it must be 10 years old, 20 years old maybe. And sure enough, I was able to find the power supply very easily because of that. In fact, here I'll show you some others. Here, I'll move the camera here, and well, here's like rack mount, and notice on the rack mount, right here, see that? Another wall wart. What does it go to? I don't know. So, but, oh, wait, it's labeled. What do you know? Lexicon Jam. Okay, so there we go. So now I know that it goes to that. Okay, so that's the first thing. And I mean, I understand it's common sense. However, common sense that is very easy to overlook, and I believe me, I've done it plenty. Here's the second thing. I wasn't going to include this, but I think it's important. Take a look. If you are going to use wall warts, okay, sometimes what the company provides is really not very good. And what I mean by that is the size and weight of the power supply. Take a look at the size of this thing. This is for an Eventide time factor. And believe me, I'm not knocking the companies or anything. I'm just saying sometimes the power supplies are really big and heavy, and depending if it's going on a pedal board or something else. Here's a great example. Now, here you go. Digitech RP70. Okay. Here, look at the size of this thing. It is gigantic. And that's for that little Digitech pedal that I've already lost. Here it is. So there's the RP70 pedal, and there's the power supply. So I can try it out now. But looking at the size of this thing, one thing you may want to consider doing, if you know the voltage, which is usually the output written here, you know, you have AC or DC, 9 volts, 12 volts, 18 volts, what have you. 9 and 12 are probably the most common. And then the number of milliamps is very important too. You know, you have to have enough milliamps. You can go over with the milliamps, but not under. Okay, I think that's right, yeah. And for voltage, you want to match the exact voltage. You don't want to put a 12 volt and a 9 volt, obviously. That's kind of like putting a circle in a square, a square hole. Okay, so anyway, the thing you could do is really go on eBay or Amazon, and there are tons of replacement AC adapters. And believe me, if you've got a big noggin like this one, this gigantic thing, which is really heavy, chances are that you'll be able to buy a replacement for maybe $8 or $9 that is smaller, lighter, and yet has the same amount of power. And I'll show you what that means. Let me find one, for example. Well, okay, this one was fine. The little Boomerang 3 here. This, believe me, I wish I could find it. Hold on. Well, see, if you look at the size of this one, it's gigantic, and in fact, it is unlabeled, and this is what I'm talking about. I have no idea what this goes to. I'm gonna have to research and see what it goes to. Look at the output. It's gonna take me, freaking half hour. And had I been diligent and put a freaking label on it, I would now know where it goes to. However, the other thing is, I don't know if you've ever seen a rack mount Lexicon Jam Man. It's a looping unit, like here, these things, right here, these three. Well, the wall wart for those, the original The original wall wart is gigantic. I mean, it's huge. It even dwarfs this one. I mean, it's gigantic. It's heavy. It's big, and when it fits in the rack mount, it doesn't fit. It takes up a bunch of space where you have to plug it in and so on. So, what you do is, like I mentioned, you go on Amazon and you order it. Order a replacement that's much smaller and lighter. And this can come in really handy as well if you're dealing with a lot of wall warts, power supplies and things. There's one thing, I guess I'll add one other thing, and this I'll show you. Now, they're not quite as popular as they used to be because rack mount equipment is not as popular. But the old rack mount power strip, right? Or even just a 6-strip collector. Those wall warts are so big that they take up 2 or 3 receptacles you could be using. But because they're so big, they won't fit. And let me show you a solution to that. And this can come in really handy, even if you have just, those old black and white 6-outlet power strips, old things. But you've got, 3 or 4 giant wall warts. Well, you can't even plug them in, and you lose all those other outlets. Here's the solution right here. I don't know if you can see that. Take a good look at that. Okay, it's basically a 3-prong outlet cable here. Plugs in here about 6 inches. Alright, that's how big it is, about 6 inches. Now what do you do with that? And I'll show you. You just take a power supply right here, a big one. Right, and if I were to put that on a power strip, right, it's going to take up 2 outlets, one on each side, that I won't be able to fit anything in because this thing's so damn big. So here's the solution. You take that cable, plug it in. Now you have to deal with just this size, a normal size, compared to that size. See the difference? Of course. And I guess it's not very pretty because you have that hanging out like this. And one thing you can do is put a twist tie around the power supply and the cable so it doesn't get unplugged, and that way you just have these things hanging off your power strip. Okay, that's one solution, that works very well though as well. And then of course the more expensive solution is to, if you have a pedal board or something like that, is to go with one of these Voodoo Lab pedal power digital, or the 4x4 or 2X, whatever. You could do that as well. So those are my tips for managing wall warts and power supplies that have worked for me anyway. And as you can see, I did I got bit again. I have to go find out what that power supply that I didn't label and find out what it goes to. Do I even own the equipment it goes to? I don't even know, and I should know. I should find out. And nothing is more frustrating when you find a pedal, that you haven't used in years, and you go, wow, I'd really like to try that again, and then you can't find the damn power supply. And that just drives me crazy. And then the other solution with the cable's really nice too. And buying replacement power supplies is worthwhile. And I don't know if it's technology or what. I suppose you could say it's the quality of the power supply, but the new power supplies are much smaller in most cases, much smaller and lighter. Now, granted, they're, you know, made in China and so on. However, I've never had a problem with one. And the nice thing is, when you order one specifically for a pedal, it will power that pedal, you know, efficiently. And good. All right. So keep those things in mind, and believe me, you'll save yourself years of headaches. Hassle. All right. See you next time.